So I'm just finishing up a small bowl. This is a small pipe, a field stub, which I'll have to look in my custom-built book and get a little information on these. I don't know if these, I just don't know the history on these. But they're similar shape to a custom-built or a jum, but they're almost always smooth. I've got a few of them. From the 50s, most likely. 1950s. Nice saddle bit. So, I just got this in the mail a few days ago. This is my first smoke. What I do with a new pipe is, I take my trusty Swiss Army knife that, do I have it with me? No. That the tip of the blade is broken off. Don't ask me. It was dumb. But I filed it so it's kind of smooth at the bottom. It is just the perfect reaming tool. So I'll ream out all the old cake in there. I'm not a big cake guy, and it's somebody else's cake. You know, in this case, I can tell he smoked aromatics in here because it's ghosted a little bit. So I clean it out good. I ream it out to pipe 30 seconds. Take a pipe cleaner with some rum and clean up the bit and the shank pretty good, as well as I can. And then I'm pretty much ready to smoke. I like some patina. I like some wear on a pipe. I like the fact that somebody else has smoked this and had some good experiences and relaxed with this pipe. I mean, that makes it more special to me. So, anyway, it's a nice pipe. These shallow, not very tall bowls, I don't think smoke as well as a billiard. Billiard shape is just the bee's knees. What I'm smoking, very appropriately, is some Cornell and Diehl First Responders. Sent to me with great kindness. I thank you, Chris. By Chris in Florida, who is, in fact, a first responder. And I'm a volunteer, too. Volunteer fireman. And it's appropriate because I just came back from setting up our native community house here, the big house, for a funeral tomorrow for one of our paramedics, who passed away. So this is really kind of a first responder sort of day. Smoking this from Chris, who's a first responder. I tell you, so very appropriate. And Chris sent me this package. I mean, how amazing is that? He said he didn't really care for this. He got it, and so he was going to send it along, which was very nice. But then he sent all this other stuff too. I mean, his daily smoke from E. Hoffman, which is I1 Reese, Distinguished Gentleman. What else is in here? Pipeworks in Wilkie, Vermont Maple. Tonight we're going to meet up by Port Townsend at another medic's place. He's got an acreage up there. Sit around the bonfire and tell stories of this guy, and yeah, it'll be good. But I'm going to take some pipes, and that Vermont maple might be. I'm not an aromatic smoker usually, but you know, when you're kind of smoking with other people in mind. This is I1 Reese buttered rum. I don't know, Chris. That one's a little over the top for me, maybe. Well, I'll give it a try. Some Orlick Golden Sliced. Thank you. God dang, buddy. What else we got here? Cornell and Diehl Exhausted Rooster. Wow. Some McClellan Christmas Cheer 2010. And some Diehl Nightcap, which will knock your socks off if you like nicotine. This will be your go-to smoke. And then just the greatest, nicest note ever. I mean, what a guy. So I'll put his link up. He's a YouTube smoker as well. So, I mean, Chris, you just went way over the top, buddy. I tell you, this community is just way too nice. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to send him that he might like. You know, most of my stuff's non-aromatic. Now, let's talk about this first responders. I should light it again. Here I am talking instead of smoking. Cornell and Diehl have a certain, just like McClellan does, probably just like Gwyth and everybody else. I mean, they kind of, their tobaccos have kind of a similarness, not a sameness, but a similarness. And McClellan, even their heavy English blends, have this kind of quality that is I'm going to say it's, yeah, I'm pretty much near the bottom of this bowl. My finger tamper. There's some heat in there. That's another advantage of the finger, is you can tell if you got a little hot ash still in there, whether it's smoking or not. Sometimes you can get it going again by lightly covering the top of the pipe and then gently blowing through it, which will change the burn area and stimulate a little burning, oftentimes. Not in this case. Anyway, McClellan's, Cornell and Diehl's tobaccos, McClellan oftentimes, they have that, I don't know, ketchup. There we go. Let's see what that is. Uh-oh, that might be me. Yep, okay. To be continued.
Engine 81, engine 85, engine 84, engine 89, 85, tender 81, tender 84, tender 89.
Tender 84, that's me. Okay, to be continued.
For a smoke from the eaves.
Okay, I'm back. That was quick. That's how it usually works. Somebody calls in a fire, and I drive the big water truck from my station. We have 3 in the district. And it's a paid district, meaning that pretty much our stations are manned 24/7, 365. So we have transitioned from volunteer, semi-rural to still a lot of semi-rural, but more suburban these days, and a paid department. But water tenders are those big water trucks. The one I drive holds 3,300 gallons of water. So statistically, those are the fire apparatus that kill the most firemen. They're the most dangerous fire apparatus, surprisingly. Or not. It's a 55,000 pound truck with a fairly high center of gravity. And, if you drop a wheel into the ditch, you correct, then you have to compensate again, and pretty soon you're in a death roll. So that's what usually happens with tenders. So, it's not glory work. Water supply is just not first in on the fire, saving lives, you know. So as a result, a lot of the guys don't even want to do it, which makes a niche. When I started about 15 years ago with this department, I was a full firefighter EMT. But, you know, it was pretty obvious that I really wasn't needed in that role, and the amount of training required is pretty amazing. So it can take a huge amount of time. And I'm getting older, you know. So I was thinking, well, what do they really need? Well, they need water supply. They need tenders. And they don't want to do it. And they don't have the manning to do it. So it's a perfect volunteer role. So, and hey, you get to drive big trucks, be part of the fire department family. You know, when they need water, man, they need nothing more than they need water right then and there. So it's useful, and it's a part that I can play that actually has value to the fire department and the community. So that's why I do that, and there are only a handful of us that do it. But that's my role. I do mapping also, and other community linkage stuff for the fire department. So there are niches that I can, and wildland too, during the summer, when we go east of the mountains, if there are big fires over there. That's huge fun. So yeah, I'm an active volunteer. So anyway, yeah, we're back. I was saying, what was I saying? I was saying that Cornell and Diehl have a certain flavor to most all their tobaccos, I think. I've tried quite a few of them. I got a sampler pack. Actually, I got 2 sampler packs. Plus, I've tried some others in the, like 6 or 7 tins. And there's a quality, I think, to Cornell and Diehl tobacco, and exemplified by this First Responders, that is thinner, hotter, a little spicy, versus cool and creamy and rich at the bottom end, which is what I tend to prefer. So this, I mean, it's okay. I love trying new tobacco, no matter how good or bad it is, and good or bad is how well it suits your palate, how well you like it. That is good or bad. It is not, it's purely subjective. So, my worst is somebody's best, and that's cool. That's great. But, yeah, this probably isn't one that I would seek out again. But the fact that we seem to be having a first responder kind of a day, complete with a fire call, which doesn't happen that often, We get about, on average, a little less than 30 working fires a year, but probably 100 tone outs. And like this, I hopped in my truck and was almost to the station, and then the duty chief got on scene, did his evaluation, and canceled the incoming unit. So, where an engine or 2 can handle it, and they don't need us, which is fine. So, anyway, it's an interesting, nice-looking mix in there, huh? So what do they say? Let's see, a blend of red, bright, and stoved red Virginias with a dash of Perique and toasted Cavendish. So maybe what I'm responding to is the Virginias that aren't very husky, they're a little higher up on the scale there. Not much bass happening in this blend. And Perique is kind of a acquired taste, I think. It's a little peppery tasting, maybe. Can tend towards bitter. So, yeah, thank you, Chris. And I'm sure I'll get into this again, but just on a first smoke and in a pipe that's been smoked with other stuff too, so you got to take that into account. And you know, day by day, sometimes you'll smoke something and you'll go, what were they thinking? And then the next time you smoke it, you go, wow, this is pretty good. So, a lot of variables.